This is me, Kike. Kike is a nickname for Enrique. I always dreamt of becoming an explorer. Moving forward several decades, I found myself sharing my passion for storytelling and the natural world surrounded by the Chilean fjords. For 8 years, I have been inspiring travelers around the world as the National Geographic photographer on board many expeditions. This year, I was granted a fellowship with the Safina Center to expand my work on a bilingual educational project called The Adventures of Pili. Not in a million years I would have thought that this particular expedition across Patagonia would change my outlook in so many ways. As we sail off, the pandemic started and the world shut down. I was never able to return home, and I would not be able to return for many months to come. My family took the last flight out of Colombia before the country closed its border at midnight, and we reunited in the United States. While I quarantined, I saw my family through a glass wall. And this is how I transitioned from being a worldwide traveler to becoming an educator, homeschooling our 5-year-old daughter Pili jointly with my wife during the pandemic. With fond memories of our travels in China and Tibet, we looked into the outdoors as our classroom and healing power. Using the National Geographic resources, I adapted an activity about mapping into a lesson. I divided it in 2 parts. We have been thinking and talking about the importance of maps, what they are, how they change the course of history. First, Pili had to create a visual map of a book. It was an introduction to spatial thinking and its potential use in storytelling. She began to understand how different objects are related, helping her visualize things and shapes in her head. Second, we went out to Hillsborough State River Park to map a trail, and it was her responsibility to identify the landmarks and add the symbols into the map key. We even returned to the same locations to engage in a MiniBioplace. She used her own map to log in any plants and wildlife sightings. This lesson fostered an attitude of curiosity about the spatial relationship between the geographical locations and the fauna and the flora. It also sparked an interest in mapping some of her favorite books, creating visual storylines with iconic locations. The attitude of responsibility was fulfilled as it was Pili who had to prepare her gear for the experience, navigate the trail, and determine which sightings to include. Pili started making connections not only between what she was experiencing and what happens in our own backyard, but also when her dad, that's me, travels and sails around the world. I made a modification of my own initial idea, connecting virtually with students in Bonanza Natural Reserve.
Hola, hola!
Hola!
A former guerrilla territory around Farallones National Park in Colombia. By doing so, I was able to expand beyond the local scale into a global perspective. By comparing experiences and observations, I was able to introduce new knowledge into the activity, such as history and environmental science, weaving with cultural nuances. This was a catalyst for all the students as they start connecting the outdoors with their own family experiences. And I would venture to say that they became aware of the immense beauty and diversity in their own communities. These past months have not been easy for us, but we took the opportunity to connect with our daughter, enhance her education, and becoming hands-on educators. Being able to understand and implement the National Geographic learning framework and incorporating new vocabulary sparked a sense of wonder and curiosity in our daughter. She's now an avid reader of National Geographic Kids magazine and she's only 5. And it's not uncommon for her to refer to terms such as extinction, conservation, and climate change. The National Geographic framework has sparked my interest in changing and improving the content and the activities of the editorial projects that we produce and we donate at the Adventures of Billy. When life gives you lemons, remember to make lemonade. And as I always say, never stop dreaming.